Aspiring and existing online fitness and health coaches, listen up. In today's video, I'm going to talk you guys through how I leverage short form content as my top of funnel awareness content, long form content as my nurturing content for acquisition of my high tier clients for my peak health system service. I'll showcase how clients of mine like Marvin have generated over 11,000 euros in the last 12 days from following the exact same framework, and why personally I am so aggressive on and adamant on the use of YouTube for acquisition purposes, particularly having watched this piece of content published recently from Mason Ndaye. Don't know how to exactly pronounce his name, I apologize for that, and which he interviews Sam Ovens, who is the godfather of this space as a whole, speak about his perspective on content, how to leverage it for acquisition purposes. For those who don't know who I am, my name is Billy Harris. I've been operating peak health systems now for the last 8 years or so. I work with over 700 individuals who do 6 to 9 figures per year with their businesses to optimize their health, including the likes of Iman Gadzi, Ryan Clark, Cole Gordon, Bastian Slott, Tyler Newman, Marcos Rossetti. Individuals I refer to as being private geniuses, this individual doing 15 million in his first month of launch for the software business, and many other big players in the space of entrepreneurship online. For context, I used to be a personal trainer. This is me at the age of 18, working from 6 a.m. till 9 p.m. every single night, 5 nights per week. I had enough. I wanted to build my online coaching business and attain financial freedom and success. And of course, as a byproduct of that, have pursued that ever since. Subsequently, I now run a 7-figure business, Peak Health Systems. And as you guys can see here, is client invoices coming through for further proof of that. There's 10K client. This client, 9K spent there. This client, another 10K spent. £17,499 spent here. £16,499 spent here from this client. £10,000 spent here from this client. £23,200 spent here from this client. So let's dive into it. My thought process is moving forward is that I'll be leveraging short form content as my top of funnel awareness content. And to showcase an example of that performing extremely well for me, this is a piece of content I produced not too long ago on Brian Johnson, who, as you guys will know, is the mega multimillionaire, perhaps billionaire now, who exited from a tech business. It was a payment processor, PayPal Venmo, I believe it was. He sold it to PayPal. And now, of course, commits over $2 million per year to his health to enhance lifespan, extend lifespan. Subsequently, having posted this piece of content, as you guys can see, it's acquired 490,000 views, 519 subscribers, and we won't pay too much attention to the revenue generated from it. It's a short form piece, it won't be significant whatsoever. So that's a very successful top of funnel piece of content there, as you guys can see. Nearly 500,000 views is a lot of eyeballs. And of course, as a byproduct of that, huge amounts of awareness driven towards my existence, my offer, my personal brand, etc., which I can then funnel towards my long form content for nurturing purposes. If we then look at an example piece of content that does well for nurturing purposes, again, exact same time this was published, this video is on the same individual, Brian Johnson here. We acquired nearly 250,000 views to 230,000. That equates to 15,000 watch hours, which is mental, and 1,400 subscribers gained from this video. And again, revenue being, of course, more significant there, but again, I'm not concerned by the revenue generated from YouTube. It's nothing relative to that I generate through the business, which of course the primary objective. So in terms of the variables of concern for any individual who is aspiring to grow online fitness and health coaching business, or in the process of operating one and wanting to scale, you only have 4 priorities for acquisition. You create content, you reach out to and engage with prospects, you service your clients, deliver the best results possible, acquire social proof, a lot of it, and of course word of mouth and referrals, and then you run paid traffic for retargeting purposes. They are only 4 priorities really. And yes, you can leverage other acquisition methods and mediums and platforms like Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, etc. But the platforms you choose to leverage and commit to will depend very much so on your personality and preference for content production. Personally, as an individual, I'm dyslexic. I communicate things very well verbally, as opposed to through written medium. And therefore I choose to prioritize video medium as content as an acquisition platform. And of course, I spend pretty much all of my day working with my clients directly, conducting calls, consultations, etc. And therefore I'm talking all the time, and I've developed the skill of being able to communicate in an effective capacity, and therefore can leverage that skill by producing video content, of course. I have also leveraged previous acquisition methods or platforms like Instagram, for example. I'll talk about the utility of this in a second as well. But the most impactful platform, hands down, without fail, without doubt, no ambiguity, is very much so YouTube. There's no doubt about it, particularly in this current space at this exact moment in time. And what I mean by that specifically is due to what we're seeing with the space as a whole, regressing to content which isn't as heavily produced or overly produced. An example of which being my old Peak Health System client, Ryan, who generated over 75 million in cash with his online coaching business, which he runs with his co-founder, Luke Kish. If you watch any of his videos, you'll see most of them are interview-based or screen recording-based, similar to this video. It's extremely engaging, particularly for those individuals who he's trying to acquire as potential prospects or who are interested in what he's doing and the journey he's documenting with his business growth. So essentially, anyone generating 6, 7, 8, 9 figures will be interested in watching this content because of the content itself, not because of the way it's produced. Because of the lessons, the insights, the value shared by Ryan in these videos. That's why the viewership from these videos doesn't, it's not massive by any means. It's a couple of thousand views per video, but it's from the exact individuals that he's wanting to acquire as individuals he can network with, potentially acquire as customers, build relationships with, etc. It's very specific and targeted, and therefore results in significant conversion for whatever purpose, whether it be through networking, hiring through the company, potential prospects who were to actually leverage an education product in the future, etc. So I'm essentially replicating this thought process here and have done so for years. And of course, doing so with my business channel and my Peak Health System channel as well, Billy Harris Health. And subsequently, of course, we now leverage this framework as well with other clients of mine, my other Peak business mentees, who I work with to help them grow and scale their online fitness and health coaching businesses. As you can see, Marvin, of course, who I referred to in a couple of videos ago, he's generated 11,000 euros in 12 days from YouTube alone. And as you guys can see here, he started posting more frequently on this channel a month ago. Prior to that, he'd been uploading infrequently. This was prior to our working together. And then, of course, since our working together, of course, he's been uploading much more consistently, and subsequently he's acquired, as you guys can see there, 11,000 euros in the last 12 days, which is great. So again, anyone can do this. Anyone can replicate this framework and this process. It's not particularly complicated. And if, of course, you want help doing so, I can take you through it step by step. But fundamentally, you should leverage short form content as top of funnel content, and of course, long form content for further nurturing purposes. In terms of your split between content which you want to go viral and content which, of course, is valuable specifically to the individuals you're wanting to acquire, you have to determine what ratio you want to leverage there. There's no perfect split by any means at all. Anyone who tells you there is doesn't know what they're talking about necessarily. Of course, you want to produce content which is extremely valuable to your ideal clients to facilitate conversion. And of course, also you want to facilitate top of funnel awareness, which can be done primarily via short form, but also, of course, long form as well, as you can see being successfully achieved here with this video specifically. To demonstrate the point further, I'd encourage all of you guys to go and watch this video from Mason. It's an awesome video. I came across it yesterday and watched the entire thing twice. Also, I was going for a walk, listened to it back. Sam Marvin speaks about this at length in terms of why he chose to stop producing content on his YouTube channel and the content he personally chooses to consume. He referred very clearly in this video that the majority of content he chooses to consume is produced in podcast format, in which there's a conversation, there's a back and forth, and he perceives that to be the best way of educating himself and further educating himself on his topics of interest, whether it be development, business development, software development, whatever it is, anything he's interested in, he chooses to learn about via podcasts as a medium. Through the likes of Joe Rogan, and he referred specifically to Lex Friedman as well. Open conversation, loose bullet points and objective for the conversation. It goes kind of all over the place, but it's extremely interesting, provided, of course, you are interested in the topic matter of discussion, and subsequently results in the best form of education. I also share this point of view. I find it extremely frustrating sitting down just to watch talking head videos. I don't find them particularly engaging or interesting, even if the topic matter is something which I'm curious about and interested in and have genuine intrigue. I think the medium is just incredibly boring. And therefore, I'd rather shoot in a medium which is much more engaging to me and more natural to me. I work at this desk all the time. I do all my client work here, etc. Therefore, recording content in this environment makes way more sense to me. And recording in this medium through which I have screen shares is somewhat dynamic, and I can actually visually communicate the point I'm trying to make, as opposed to speaking directly to camera makes way more sense, and is also something that we're seeing Ryan do very successfully as well. So fundamentally, this is the framework I'd encourage all of you guys to leverage to facilitate acquisition for your business, your high ticket model, of course, particularly if you're working with a very niched set of individuals and audience, ideal clients. And in terms of content to produce and how rigidly you approach your scripting process, ideology for video production, etc., there's no rules to this game. If anything, oftentimes when you flip the rules on their head entirely and do the exact opposite of what other people are doing, it facilitates more interest in conversion because it's different, unique, and it's more personable, and you also present yourself as a more unique character as a whole, which is great, and facilitates huge amounts of interest and subsequently conversion. An example of that, again, being Ryan. Everyone else in the space was producing overly produced videos with a media team. Ryan sat down, riffed off the cuff, planned a few bits in advance, client interviews, screen recordings, etc., friend interviews, and these videos perform extremely well for the audience he's trying to acquire. Same thought process applies here. So yeah, get used to and familiar with what content you like to produce, you like to consume, replicate that. Don't overthink the process of scripting, because if of course you actually have value to share with individuals, there should be no need for you to script it in order for it to be perceived as valuable. You can riff off the cuff, provided you know what you're actually talking about and you're legitimately talented and have a skill set to share with individuals publicly. And that's the key variable, which most individuals lack and miss. And they think the scripting will save them. It will not. You have to know what you're talking about in order for it to be perceived as valuable. And then there's no rules in this game at all. Content creation shouldn't be something which you're restricted by in terms of rules and things to actually definitely adhere to. Is you can be flexible with it, you can be creative with it, and if anything, it will benefit you by doing so. In terms of framework to leverage for a video, in my opinion, personally, you should introduce the topic matter within the first 30 seconds in a way which you are leveraging a hook effectively, speaking directly to your ideal clients, the individuals that you want to be actually viewing the video piece specifically, and then inferring what they can derive from this video in terms of value. And then you should then substantiate your claims or your authority and why someone should actually pay attention to you by showcasing social proof and referring to your own career successes, how you develop the skill set, irrefutable proof, before, of course, actually then delivering the rest of the video, which is, of course, value predicated. And that's essentially it. But yeah, if you guys want to, of course, work directly with me to help you start and grow your online fitness and health coaching businesses, check out the top link in the description. Until then, guys, any questions, drop them in the comment section down below, and I shall see you in the next one.